News when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Monica Ricks. President Trump has vowed to decimate Iran following open calls for his killing at the funeral of Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei this week. Trump mentioned the threats at the NATO summit in Turkey.
It's a very dangerous profession. No, I'm number one on the kill list for Iran. They're lovely people. I'm number one. So I don't know. I can't tell you that, but I don't really care because I'm doing my job and I'm doing it, I hope, better than anybody's ever done it.
On social media last night, Trump said 1,000 missiles are locked and loaded and aimed at Iran should its government act on threats to assassinate or attempt to assassinate him. But Iran has said it won't continue talks and even vowed revenge. In his first message since his father and predecessor's funeral, Supreme Leader Mojtaba Khamenei says it's the nation's demand and, quote, must certainly be carried out. Meantime, gas and diesel markets are signaling a fuel supply crunch amid these renewed strikes. Clara Gillespie is a senior fellow for climate and energy at the Council on Foreign Relations and says the situation remains incredibly fragile.
We've seen a range of analyses and predictions that say everything between we could expect if the recovery continues to move forward, if the strait does remain open to an extent, even if it's a complicated reopening, maybe starting to see a renormalization, a major recovery of Gulf energy flows by the end of the year going into next year. And then at the other end of the spectrum, you get all the way to we should never expect to see a full recovery.
Climate and energy expert Clara Gillespie on Bloomberg this weekend. Brent crude closed at $76 a barrel Friday, suggesting the energy shock from this war may be far from over. Cuba suffered another nationwide blackout as the country grapples with an aging power grid, chronic fuel shortages, and the threat of further U.S. sanctions. The island's energy ministry says authorities are working to recover service, but rolling outages have been happening there since January, raising doubts about whether electricity service can return to normal without more investments and a more stable fuel supply. Apple is suing OpenAI for trade secret theft, accusing the artificial intelligence startup and its hardware chief of engaging in a coordinated campaign to steal information about upcoming products. Mark Gurman wrote the story for Bloomberg News.
Apple saying that OpenAI actively coached employees at Apple on how to leave Apple and how to join OpenAI without creating suspicion that they're taking confidential information with them. Obviously, the backdrop here is that Apple and OpenAI, before this lawsuit, were going to war over AI devices.
OpenAI says it has, quote, no interest in other companies' trade secrets, but Apple's demanding OpenAI cease its practices, destroy any proprietary material, and redesign upcoming products so they don't include any of its technology. At least 31 states are now reporting cases of intestinal infection cyclopsoriasis, which doctors say could last weeks and lead to some pretty painful symptoms.
Fortunately, this can be treated with an antibiotic if you do get symptoms and you go to a doctor and you get tested.
Dr. Alok Patel on ABC News. Health officials believe it may be linked to contaminated produce or water. A sweeping housing affordability bill became law at midnight despite President Trump's refusal to sign it unless Congress approved a strict voter ID bill. That doesn't have enough support to pass, but this housing bill is a bipartisan move to address the high cost of housing amid elevated mortgage rates and near record high home prices.
Any accusation of non-consensual behavior is categorically false.
Graham Plattner has formally dropped out of Maine's U.S. Senate race days after denying sexual assault allegations. Democrats now have till July 27th to find a replacement to go up against incumbent Republican Senator Susan Collins. Maine is considered a crucial state for control of the Senate in November, and Collins is considered vulnerable. Spain beat Belgium 2-1 last night to advance to the World Cup semifinals. They'll face France next. Later today, Norway takes on England and Argentina is up against Switzerland. And that's news when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Monica Ricks, and this is Bloomberg.